Hi everyone, this is Colleen Francis from Engage Selling Solutions. Thanks for joining me on today's Sales Leader Strategy. Now you know, probably because you were taught at a very early age that we should never make assumptions, right? Yet I see salespeople make assumptions all the time, and this week I come with you with two tales of woe from clients that I recently discovered had been making assumptions. And these are great companies and great sellers, but this was damaging. First customer, they assumed that they were working with the decision maker. For 10 years, they worked with a purchasing agent who brought them huge amounts of business. In fact, their relationship was so strong, it grew into be the biggest customer that my customer was managing, and they were happy. And then, after a reorganization, they discovered that there were two other people in exactly the same positions, giving 2/3 of the business to their competition. It was about $200,000 a year in revenue that they were missing because they had assumed they were dealing with the only person in a decision-making capacity. That's $2 million of lost revenue over 10 years. And you know what? Their stomachs hurt a little bit. So always ask the question, who else? Always build out your org chart. Always walk onto the site and ask to be introduced to other people. If my client had done this 10 years ago, they would be $2 million wealthier as a business. The second tale of woe comes from a client of mine who was working with a prospect, and he assumed that the buyer was the decision maker because he owned the business. And he couldn't understand why month after month he was getting a put off, that he couldn't get this decision maker, this buyer, this owner to close the business with him when everything looked great. And then he asked a question which revealed that there were other owners in the business who were being the gatekeeper to them moving forward. And so in his case, even though he was able to close the business eventually, it took what should have been a 60-day sales cycle and made it 6 months of frustration because he made an assumption. So never make assumptions about buyers. Always ask the question around who else is involved, who else needs to know, who else should I meet? And building out that org chart, whether you're pre-sale or post-sale, is going to help you sell more in less time. Thank you so much for joining me on today's Sales Leader Strategy. For more discussions on topics just like this, visit us now at engageselling.com.